Hi everyone, thank you for joining us on the second keynote for today in building and scaling on EdTech company. With us here we have Jack from Kalpha. It's a startup in Singapore. So Jack is a serial and parallel entrepreneur with experience in various industries, namely on procurement, food and beverage, and technology itself. So Jack is the founder of Kalpha, a mobile application that allows individuals to connect, share skills, experiences, and knowledge on a one-to-one basis. In 2019, Kalpha actually raised six-figure seed round investment with a Vietnam-based VC firm, Nestech, becoming the leading peer-to-peer platform in Singapore, nabbing the People's Choice 2019 prize at ASEAN's Rice Bowl Startup Awards. So with his experience, I believe Jack will be able to share a very interesting journey on building and scaling Kalpha above and beyond. So, so before I pass the stage to Jack, he has some technical issues with his backend, so you'll be able to see him. But I'll be sharing his LinkedIn with you guys. So if you guys have any questions after that, you guys can connect with him via LinkedIn. Okay, I'll pass it to you, Jack.
Yep. Thank you so much, Suri. Yes, so a very good morning to everyone. I'm Jack once again. I'm one of the co-founders of Kalpha, right? So in short, Kalpha is a Singapore-based EdTech company. So what we do, it's a peer-to-peer ecosystem whereby individuals can, connect, meet up in person to learn and share all forms of skills, knowledge, and experience on a one-to-one basis from each other, right? So we have actually transited from an offline environment towards an online one in the midst of COVID. So maybe just to share a bit of a quick background on where we are today in our journey in Kalpha. So we actually launched our product in 2019 in Singapore. And then shortly after, actually in July 2020 in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, right? So to date, we are quite fortunate to say that we have got slightly more than 100,000 users in our database. And of course, along our journey, we have raised 2 rounds of venture funding, right? So to my topic, how do we build and scale an EdTech startup? I would say, in my opinion, right, in my very short journey in 3 years, what I understand, it's for one to build and scale an EdTech company, one have to find a niche in the sector, right? So obviously, once you manage to find a certain angle that you want to target, then you of course establish yourself within the market itself. So 2 points. One, of course, to find a niche, and then thereafter you scale within the market, right? So obviously, I believe every EdTech firm would want to develop an all-encompassing kind of and holistic kind of platform. As education in itself is pretty dynamic in nature, right? So you have got very, very personalized form of learning. You got casual form of learning and stuff like that. So what I would say is to start by solving an issue within the market, right? So Kalpha, for instance. So where we are trying to resolve the problem, it's on a very casual learning form of basis, right? So I mean, out there, you have got your K-12, your very academia kind of learning, but we are positioning ourselves in a more casual, peer-to-peer form of meet up and learn, sharing kind of sessions, right? So that's basically what Kalpha does, is to bridge connections between experts and interested learners, right? And this is where we get the most value. So obviously with this, it sets us apart from the rest of other kind of platforms that's available out there, right? So because of that, we built a lot into our brand equity and all. And then obviously the next is to scale within the particular markets, right? Which in our case, it's within Singapore and in Vietnam eventually, right? So what I mean is to know your markets prior to before scaling it above and beyond, right? So it's imperative to understand all data points, such as things like how your users behave, right? What are their budget, their kind of spending power, and of course their demographic group. So again, I'll take reference back to Kalpha in Singapore and Vietnam. So what's interesting is, like, in Singapore, to be honest, I would say because we are a developed country, so maybe the tendency to want to meet up to learn from another individual is not quite there. Although I would say that peer-to-peer learning is pretty applicable to all forms of market, right? But from data points coming back, it may not work as well in Singapore, right? So I would say in 1.5 years before we head to Vietnam, I think we kind of, all in all, we obtained about like 45,000 downloads, right? People are interested in the platform, but I would say that it's not that good. But then because in the midst of COVID, Vietnam kind of controlled the situation pretty well. So as a result, we actually expanded instead of contracting, right? So strangely, in our 8 months of expansion into Vietnam, we actually obtained about 80,000 worth of downloads in just a really short span. Obviously, I would say in terms of marketing spend, is more or less the same into both countries. And what we are seeing is that, you know, evidence coming back that actually Vietnamese do like our app a bit better. So I think that's one other ways that you have to really think about your demographic group, your audience that you are targeting. Then as a result, you try to localize your product to suit their culture, right? Yeah, so basically I would say I'll conclude with these 2 points, right? One is really build a niche, something different from the crowd, and then eventually you try to expand into other verticals to make yourself, or rather every education platform would want to achieve an all-encompassing kind of platform, right? Then having said that, once you understand the angle that you're targeting, then really understand your customers and scale from there, right? So, yeah, that's it. A really short one, but I hope you get the main gist across.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Okay, I think like the questions that I do have out of curiosity, like
Sure.
why Vietnam? Why did you choose Vietnam to scale to?
Okay. So there's two reasons, right, that we have to scale to Vietnam. For one, it's obviously because our backers, which is our VC that have invested in us, we have got certain obligations to fulfill. Yeah, that's one of it that we do need to enter into Vietnam. But obviously, the more compelling reason for us is simply because that we have actually done our market research prior to entering into Vietnam, right? Options aside, it's really an ideal market simply because the demographic group actually fits what we are actually targeting, right? So Kalpha, what we understand that it works better, better as in terms of engagements, we're gonna receive a lot more between the age of 20s to 45, right? This is the target demographic group that we are tackling. And true enough, obviously, most of our users are within this age range. And having said that, we map it out back into Vietnam, right? It's almost 70% of the entire population is below the age of 30. Can you believe that in Vietnam? So obviously we understand that that might be a more ideal market for our product, right? And true enough, once we launch it out there, activity rate I would say is at least 10 times better than in Singapore.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So actually we've done our research, data points coming, it makes sense, right? So that's just our, yeah, like I say, a very compelling reason for us to get there. And true enough, now that we are there in Ho Chi Minh, right, it's our working out. So we are looking to expand beyond just the city itself, maybe to the rest of the other cities within Vietnam.
Yeah, nice. Congratulations. Because I did read an article on Kalpha actually going into the Vietnam market during the pandemic last year.
Yes,
Actually, being able to make it that big says a lot of things about what Kalpha can achieve going forward from here. Yeah. So, okay, one of the questions that was posted by Elias, how easy or difficult is it to get investors in EdTech?
Oh man, okay, that's a really good question. So I would say maybe by nature, right, we talk about education technology, not from a venture lens, right? We just talk about the nature itself. The idea is that education, it's always a very long game, right? So as a result, obviously you're gonna attract a smaller pool of investors, unfortunately, but that's a true fact. simply because the investment horizon is a lot longer. As a result, not many people understands this, right? So that's number one. Again, like I say, education is a very dynamic field, right? If we talk about, say, fintech, it's a very straightforward approach whereby you solve a problem, you found your value proposition, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in terms of like education technology, right, so many different angles that we can target. Formal learning, informal learning. You want to go down the academic route, or you want to be a platform educator, stuff like that, right?
Yep. Yep.
So because of that, what I'm saying is that there's so many skills, so many niche within the sector itself. So the learning curve, even from an investor's standpoint, it's really, it varies a lot. So not many people really, or rather not many investors really understands this. So as a I would say to raise funds for EdTech firm is pretty tough in comparison to the rest of the IT. That's unfortunate. I would say.
Alright. Thank you, Jack. Okay, I think this question also we can post for our investor later, Raymond, who will be joining us. Then
Sure,
you guys
I'll
can
be more
actually
than
ask. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
Definitely.
next, how he actually asked, is the entry to Vietnam also due to lower market response in your initial market of Singapore that basically forces you to seek a green pastures?
Okay. Wow, that's a really, really good question. So I would say yes and no. Okay. So on the get-go, we understand that Singapore have always it's a really small country. Everyone knows that. So it's always as a test bed, right? So we know that eventually we need to scale out of Singapore for sure. But I would say that our engagement, our traction, our user traction within Singapore is actually not bad in comparison to our competitors, right, within the Singapore market. So that's for one. But what really happened was because of the pandemic, right? So, like I said, we already know from go that we need to scale outward, but because of that, it accelerated the process, right? Simply because of movement control order, we are not able to do physical meetups, and digital meetups was such a new thing. Whereas if you compare like the situation in Singapore, how we tackle COVID as compared to Vietnam, Vietnam handled it pretty well. They've only got like 1,000 infections and all. People don't even wear masks in there. Life is like back to normal, right? So because of that, that really forces us to say, hey, look, from here, comparing to Vietnam, why not we do an expansion instead? And true enough, we dedicate most of our resources in there. In fact, my entire team right now is actually based in. We are looking to scale the market there as opposed to Singapore. So because of that, to answer your question, it's a yes and no. It's a push and pull factor.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Will Kalpha expand to Malaysia?
I would say in the later part, definitely, probably yes. It's also a market that we have been looking at, but because of logistical reasons, right? So the few factors for Kalpha to work, because where we value ourselves the most is a physical meetup. So geographically, we need to pick countries that are pretty densely populated. So even if we were to expand into, say, into Malaysia, it's going to be within the bigger cities such as like KL, such as like JP, the central regions. Whereas on the more remote places, Kalpha may not work as well. But then again, we are looking to extend into different verticals. So probably, I would say, I won't promise you that, but definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's all that we have for today. I've shared the Jack's LinkedIn profile on the chat section. If you guys want to connect with Jack on a personal level, you all can do so via LinkedIn. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Feel
you,
free
Jack,
to do
again
so.
for joining us. I will see you later on the panel discussion.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you so much, Siri.
Thank you.